say this is when we get to try it out on July 4th. This is God Bless the USA. No matter what happens in this country, we will prevail.
Children and Miss Christina are going to just go tell the kids over to them. So. Well, in a few days we celebrate the birth of a nation, our nation, the United States of America. Now, the birth of a nation and the birth of a leader aren't necessarily the same thing. Yet for a nation to be birthed, it needs a leader to take it where it needs to go. It needs people to come up with the ideas, it needs people that are committed, it needs people to go forward together. For the United States to be born, a number of people, leaders and ideas were brought together to become one nation. 13 colonies that would declare their independence from England and King George. It wasn't something that was done on a whim. It wasn't something done overnight. It took more than a year for them when they got together from the beginning of the Revolutionary War to when the Declaration of Independence was put together and signed. The war broke out in April of 1775. A few colonists desired complete independence from Great Britain, but not everybody was on board yet. It was taking a while. And a lot of them did not want to be radicals. A lot of them didn't want to put their lives on the line. But by the middle of 1776, the hostility against Britain had spread, and it was actually became a revolution, a revolutionary war. Some of the because of a book done by Thomas Paine, a pamphlet called Common Sense, helped to get people united in their decisions and choices. So on June 7th, when the Continental Congress met in Pennsylvania at the State House, later called Independence Hall, the Virginia delegate Richard Henry Lee introduced a motion calling for the colony's independence. Amid heated debate, Congress postponed the vote on Lee's resolution, but appointed a 5-man committee, including Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, John Adams of Massachusetts, Roger Sherman of Connecticut, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, and Robert R. Livingston of New York, to draft a formal statement justifying their break from England, from Great Britain. The document they proposed was brought to vote on July 2nd, and we know that document as the Declaration of Independence, and it was ratified on July 4th, 1776. The first 2 paragraphs read, "When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will declare the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffering of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. And such, the history of the present of Great Britain is history of repeated injuries and usurpations, and all having the direct object establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to the candid world." So those are the first 2 paragraphs. A lot of words. They were much more wordy than we are anymore. But they established their right to form a new nation. They gave this to King George, and that was the beginning of the Revolution, beginning of the United States of America. Now, when you look at it, I was about, well, what kind of steps does it take to make a nation? And one place said it only takes 3 steps to become a new country. So I thought, well, I'm going to look at those. Sudan's president, Omar Hassan al-Bashir, has announced that after 2 civil wars, South Sudan will separate from the North on July 9th. That's coming up here very soon. What must the new Republic of South Sudan do to establish itself? It wants to become the 193rd member of the United Nations. So first they have to declare independence. To establish a new country, the country must first satisfy the international rules that all free countries generally acknowledge, and there's a lot of that. So this number 1 includes a whole bunch of other stuff. But basically, they have to declare independence. Number 2, they gain recognition in order to be legitimate. A new country must be recognized by the other states around them within the international community. And number 3, they join the United Nations. The United Nations asserts that because it itself is not a country, it can't possess any authority to recognize a state or government, but being admitted into the UN goes a long way for a new country to be recognized as just that, a new country in an international community. So that was a very oversimplified way to become a new country. But you get the idea. It takes more than a person leading a bunch of people, but it takes an idea and a vision that begins with a leader, begins with somebody in charge. The men that signed the Declaration of Independence were those kind of leaders. George Washington was a great leader within the Continental War, the Continental Army, as a nation, and he led the nation, the American forces, through the very infancy of our country. The Revolutionary War is a story of how the will to be free can triumph over impossible odds. Because Great Britain was way bigger, had way more soldiers, had way more money. They should have won hands down, no problem. But because of the patriots, because of the American people, because of the passion of those people, and these people being willing to give their lives for what they believed in, the United States was born. Many patriots were responsible for transforming America from British-owned colonies into the land of the free and the home of the brave. Many of the firsts, which occurred within a short time frame, are still part of American life today. The colonists weren't only unanimous, but most agreed on they were called to pay with everything. Have you ever wondered what happened to those 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence? 5 signers were captured by the British as traitors and tortured before they died. 12 had their homes ransacked and burned. 2 lost their sons in the Revolutionary War. Another had 2 sons captured. 9 of the 56 fought and died from wounds or the hardships of the Revolutionary War. These men signed and pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Among the signers included 24 lawyers and jurists, 11 were merchants, 9 were farmers and large plantation owners. They were men of means, they were well educated. They signed the Declaration of Independence knowing full well that the penalty would be death if they were captured. Carter Braxton of Virginia, a wealthy planter and trader, saw all of his ships swept away by the British Navy. He sold his home and properties to pay his debts, and he died in rags. Thomas McKean was so haunted by the British that he was forced to move his family almost constantly. He served in the Congress without pay, and his family was kept in hiding. His possessions were taken away from him, and poverty was his reward. Vandals or soldiers or wolves looted the properties of Ellery, Clyman, Hull, Walton, Gwinnett, Leeward, Rutledge, and Middleton. At the Battle of Yorktown, Thomas Nelson Jr. noted that the British General Cornwallis had taken over the Nelson home for his headquarters. The owner died bankrupt. Francis Lewis had his home and properties destroyed. The enemy jailed his wife, and she died within a few months. John Hart was driven from his wife's bedside, and she was dying. Their 13 children fled for their lives. His fields and gristmill were laid waste. For more than a year, he lived in the forest and in caves. When he returned home, he found his wife dead and his children were all gone. A few weeks later, he died from exhaustion and a broken heart. Norris and Livingston suffered similar fates. These men were ordinary men who stepped up to sign and believed in this country, and they signed this pledge with their life. They became leaders because of the need for leaders in our nation's history. Moses, too, didn't become a leader because he wanted to. Moses at first thought he was going to be a great leader, but because when he began his life, he was nothing more than a baby who was supposed to be thrown into the river and drowned. Moses was supposed to die because Pharaoh said no more little Hebrew boys are to be born, and if they are get rid of them. But God had a different plan, and Moses was rescued, and by none less than Pharaoh's own family. And then Moses was brought up in Pharaoh's household. And he became a leader in that household. Yet when he tried to establish his leadership, he took it into his own hands, and he decided that he should kill an Egyptian, and everybody would follow him, and he just kind of went about it the wrong way. And he ended up fleeing for his life for 40 years. He was in the desert. He was a shepherd. And you don't really think of shepherds in the desert becoming great leaders in a country, do you? They tend to be, the shepherds tend to be like the lower class. They tend to be the guys that just aren't going to do anything. And so that's what he was. He wasn't a proud Egyptian any longer, just a humble shepherd. And he's called to lead the nation of Israel out of Egypt. Moses didn't believe he was the right guy for the job. Why don't you turn with me to Exodus 3, 5 to 12. The page number is up on the screen, page 46. Here how Moses accepted the call. says, "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And God said, "I will be with you, and this will be a sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." So as we look there, Moses has an encounter with God, with a burning bush, one that doesn't burn up. And when he gets there, he finds out that this is the great I am. He says, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac. I am the one that's going to send you." Now Moses' first thing is, "Who am I? Why are you picking me? I'm just nobody." His response, he had no idea how he was going to do this. He didn't feel like he was qualified, even though he was brought up in Pharaoh's household. He was brought up to know how to lead the nation. Yet at this point in his life, he says, "How can I do that? He just can't handle it." He is so concerned that no one will follow him, that he isn't the man for this job. He's afraid. He doesn't believe he can be the leader that God is calling him to be. Ken Davis does an awesome way of showing Moses' response to God when God sends him.
Moses' excuses. What if they don't believe me? And this is how it went.
Moses, what's that in your hand?
Yeah?
What is that?
It's my sheep stick. When I'm out here watching the sheep, sometimes they go where they're not supposed to go. And then I go, "Bad sheep." My sheep stick.
Moses, throw it down.
Why? Isn't that what you do? Why? Because it's
Moses, throw the stick down.
okay, no need to get testy here. Do you know the story? When he threw it down, what happened? It turned into a snake. And of course, being a Bible person, he went,
Behold, what was straight is now crooked.
I love the way the Bible talks about this. You know what the Bible says? The Bible says that he threw that thing down and it turned into a snake, and he did the same thing we did. The Bible says he put his knees to the breeze and he bugged out of there. Now, see, the scholars are going, "Buggeth is not here." What it means is he ran from the snake. He threw that thing down. He had no idea what was going to happen. He just threw it on the ground. Yeah! And he was gone. You can't tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor. The Bible says that God said,
Come on back here.
Moses come back, he's looking at that thing, and then God said, pick up the snake. No! You pick up the snake! Am I right or not? Isn't this the way we go with God? You made a snake, you pick up the snake. Turn it back into a stick, then I'll pick it up. Moses, okay. He tried to distract the snake with his microphone. What happened? There was a stick again. Tell me his blood pressure didn't go up. Tell me his eyes didn't just get huge. I threw it down. There's somebody here. Sheep! Come here! I threw it down and it turned and it stick. Look at him. Hot stick! Snake stick, snake stick.
Ken Davis tells the story so much better. But isn't that true? When God tells us we can do something or that we're supposed to do something, often we say, there's no way I can do that. And that's how Moses was feeling. God, I can't do this. I don't want to go. And he continued that way. Let's look at chapter 4 of Exodus, where we can read this. We'll read it from the Bible. It'll be a little different than how Ken Davis just read it for us. But Moses answered, what if they don't believe me or listen to me? And they say the Lord didn't appear to you. And then the Lord said to him, what's that in your hand? He said, a staff. The Lord said, throw it on the ground. Moses threw it on the ground, it became a snake, and he ran from it. Then the Lord said to him, reach out your hand and take it by the tail. So Moses reached out his hand and took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. This, said the Lord, is so that you may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Then the Lord said, put your hand inside your cloak. So Moses put his hand in his cloak, and when he took it out, it was bloodless, white as snow. Now put it back in your cloak, he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored, like the rest of his flesh. Then the Lord said, if they do not believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it out on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground. Moses said to the Lord, O Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. The Lord said to him, who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Isn't not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak and I will teach you what to say. But Moses said, O Lord, please send someone else. And the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, what about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him, and you shall speak to him as the words in his mouth, and I will help both of you speak, and will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and as if you were God to him. But take the staff in your hands, so you can perform miraculous signs. Moses continued to argue with God. Send somebody else. He wasn't he wasn't a leader that wanted to take charge. He was very reluctant. But this was the beginning of a great leader. First, God gave Moses some very tangible signs of his power and how he was going to help Moses with the task at hand. Moses had some great doubts to his ability as a leader. And as his realization that he finally realized He couldn't do this alone. Moses knows he can't do this alone. And that is the beginning of a great leader. When you realize you need help. You can't lead a country solo. Now, anyone that is a great leader will acknowledge that for them to be a great leader, they can't lead by themselves. John Maxwell often comments that you can't be a leader if there's no one following. And you can't get a following if you don't learn how to lead well. So there's some common leadership qualities that good leaders appear to have. Some of them are, one is an ability to put their times in the perspective of history. Moses understood the signs of the times. He recognized that he wouldn't be around forever. He also recognized that he was a leader, but God was the one really in charge. When Miriam and Aaron complained that they thought Moses was getting too much fame and that they should kind of be part of the leadership team as well, they should be up where Moses is, God said, when a prophet of the Lord is among you, I reveal myself to him in visions, and I speak to him in dreams. But this isn't true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him, I speak face to face clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Moses had a really special relationship with God. He came to recognize that although God put him in charge to lead the people, God was the one that he followed. He recognized that this was a time for a strong and humble leader. Leaders get effective communication skills. That's kind of a given when we think about it. When Moses first was told he was going to lead the people, he responded, I can't talk. I'm not eloquent. I can't speak. And then God reminded him, he said, who makes people able to speak or makes them deaf or unable to speak? Who teaches them how to talk? And he says, well, when you speak, I will be with you. And God said he would give him the words to say. And Moses went from a nervous and limited speaker to a man that could stand before Pharaoh and pronounce judgment. That was quite a transformation. He went from a very scared, humble shepherd to a man that could stand before Pharaoh and tell him what God was going to say. He could really communicate. Now, I don't even think Moses noticed the transformation. When you read through it, he just did it. And he knew that God was with him. To birth a nation, a leader needs the courage to make unpopular decisions. I am sure that there were times when our founding fathers struggled with making the right choices. They knew they were in trouble either way. They knew they were going to pay one way or the other. But they had to have the courage to make the right decision for the times. Moses had that kind of courage as well. When he first went to Pharaoh, maybe Moses first came up there and he thought, well, Pharaoh's going to listen to me. He's going to throw that staff down and it's going to turn into a snake. And Pharaoh's just going to say, wow, that's really cool. I believe you. Pharaoh didn't do that. Pharaoh said, his own magicians could do the same thing. And he said, Moses, I ain't going to let the people go. They're going to have to stay. And in fact, since they have the time to think about leaving, I'm going to increase their workload, and I'm going to punish them because of you. So Moses thinking that, boy, I'm going to be able to lead this people, and reality sets in, and he has some hard choices to make. Because now the people of Israel don't trust him. Because now they're working twice as hard because Moses was going to get them out of there. So Moses did not have easy decisions to make. Pharaoh didn't want to release the people, but he had to continue to do what he needed to do. A strong leader also needs crisis management skills. There's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a crisis. When you're a leader, stuff happens. For a president, it can be a natural disaster or a terrorist attack. For a parent, it can be the phone call in the middle of the night. For a pastor, it can be an attack on the church. For Moses, who was leading millions of people through the wilderness, it often began with grumbling. The people started to grumble. They were hungry. They were thirsty. And why did you bring us out into this wilderness? There's no food. There's nothing to drink. There's nothing to eat. And they would whine and complain, and that would begin to get all the people turned out against Moses. One of these crises was when the people of Israel said they were sick of this manna, and they wanted some meat to eat. And so the riffraff among the people of Israel were complaining that they wanted meat to eat. And they started craving, and soon the people of Israel were whining. Why can't we have meat. We ate fish in Egypt and we got it for free, to say nothing of the cucumbers and melons, the leeks and the onions and garlic. But nothing tastes good out here. All we get is manna, manna, manna. Moses heard the whining, all those families whining in front of their tents, and God's anger blazed. Moses saw that things were in a bad way. Moses said to God, "Why are you treating me this way, God? What did I ever do to deserve this? Did I conceive them? Was I their mother? So why dump the responsibility of this people on me? Why tell me to carry them around like a nursing mother, carry them all the way to the land you promised our ancestors? Where am I supposed to get meat for all these people who are whining? Give us meat. We want meat. I can't do this myself. It's too much. All these people, if this is how you intend to treat me, do me a favor and kill me." Moses said, "I've seen enough. I've had enough. Let me out of here." God said to Moses, "Gather together 70 men from among the leaders of Israel, men whom you know to be respected and responsible, and take them to the tent of meeting. I'll meet you there. I'll come down and talk with you, and I'll take some of the spirit that is on you and place it on them. And they'll be able to take some of the load of this people, and you won't have to carry the whole thing. Tell the people, consecrate themselves, get them ready, and when you're going to eat meat, and you've been whining to God, we want meat, give us meat. We had a better life in Egypt." Moses said, "God has heard your whining, and he's going to give you meat. You're going to eat meat. And it's not just for today that you'll eat meat, and not just for 2 days or 5 or 10 or 20, but for an entire month. You're going to eat meat until it's coming out of your nostrils. You're going to be so sick of meat that you'll throw up at the mere mention of it. And here's why. Because you have rejected God who is right here among you, whining to his face. Well, why did you make us leave Egypt?" Moses said, "I'm standing here surrounded by 600,000 men on foot, and you say, I'll give them meat every day for a month? So where's that coming from, God? Even if all the flocks and herds were butchered, would that be enough? Even if all the fish in the sea were caught, would that be enough?" God answered Moses, "So do you think I can't take care of you? You'll see soon enough whether what I say is true or not." Moses knew where to turn during a crisis. He turned to God. He laid it all on God. He said, "God, I can't do this. I can't feed these people. They're whining. You got to do something." And a couple of things that God did. First, a leader knows he needs you to know the resources that were available to him without throwing in the towel. A national leader needs to make wise appointments. God told Moses to gather 70 leaders among the people. So first he was supposed to go out and find 70 leaders that were able to help him with this work. Because he told Moses, you can't do this alone. You shouldn't bear the burden alone. Find a good leadership team, one that will work for you, people of integrity, people that share the same vision. All the people in the leadership need a team. You need people around you to help you, to work with you, people that help carry the burden and to serve together. Leadership is not like the Lone Ranger, because even the Lone Ranger had Tonto. He didn't do it alone. We all need that kind of help. We all need to work together to accomplish whatever goal we have set. For Israel, it was eventually to conquer the Promised Land. For George Washington and the 56 men that signed the Declaration of Independence, it was to win the war and establish a new nation. And as the people work together in leadership, those in leadership need to be able to work with those leaders that are under their authority. Moses had learned humility, and when the work got difficult, he was right there in the middle of it. He didn't pass the buck. He took responsibility. Those in leadership must remember that their first job is to serve those that they're put in authority over. Moses served the people of Israel for over 40 years. A president is established to lead the nation for 4 to 8 years. During those years in office, a national leader must learn to work with Congress and all the other groups that are there to work within the country to keep it on an even keel. Lastly, a national leader must be a person of character. Considering all of the hats that a leader must wear, perhaps that's the most important one. How a leader deals with circumstances of life and all those things affect their character. Crisis doesn't necessarily make character, but it certainly does reveal your character. Adversity is a crossroads that makes a person choose one or two paths, either character or compromise. Moses learned humility and a good work ethic. He was a shepherd for 40 years. And he was a good shepherd. He took care of the sheep. He earned as respect of his father-in-law, Jethro. He did what needed to be done. Every time a leader chooses character, he or she becomes stronger, even if that choice brings negative consequences. Moses at first ran. He didn't like snakes. He didn't like having, and he ran from Egypt to go to the desert, and then when God called him, he ran right away as well. But eventually Moses learned and grew and became an amazing leader, building and strengthening his beliefs. The development of character is the heart of our development, not just as leaders, but as human beings. As we celebrate America's Independence Day, we celebrate all those leaders, past and present, that are serving our great nation. Moses served Israel for 40 years, and we still know his name and the work that he did to this day. To leave a lasting mark in history, you must be a good leader. George Washington was a good leader. Abraham Lincoln was an amazing leader. They were all men that served with integrity, courage, and had to make unpopular choices during the years of their service. As Christians, we are called to serve God where God has placed us, with integrity, patience, and excellence. Only a few people are called to lead a nation, yet all of us are called to lead in our homes, in our communities, in our church. We are all called to serve where we are placed. We are all called to be dependent on the Lord. And we are independent in our thoughts and life processes, but we need to remember who we commit our lives to. We are called to look towards God. Just as God filled Moses with the strength and wisdom he needed to lead the people of Israel, so he will fill us with his Holy Spirit to live our lives in obedience to him. I want to close with a prayer that George Washington gave at his final address to our country. So if you would pray with me along with our first President of the United States. He said, Almighty God, we make our earnest prayer that thou wilt keep the United States in thy holy protection, that thou wilt incline the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of subordination and obedience to government, and entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another and for the fellow citizens of the United States of America at large. And finally, that thou wilt most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with that charity, humility, and pacific temper of mind, which were the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion. And without whose example in these things we can never hope to be a happy nation. Grant our supplication, we beseech thee, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. George Washington was a man of prayer as well. So as we continue in worship today, we'll have our offering, and if our ushers would come forward. We have, for those of you that missed it last week, was Church in the Park. Like I wrote on Facebook, you know you're in Minnesota when you show up to an outside picnic and church service and it's only 55 degrees. But we survived, and actually we had a pretty good turnout. It was a little cold, but we all bundled up, and there was a lot of good food and a lot of fun, and it's just really good. It was a real blessing to get together. So I want to thank you all that were there and that served, and it was just an awesome day. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for all that you're doing. We thank you so much for how you have blessed our lives and blessed this church and how you've blessed each one of us. Lord, you have given us so much. Lord, first of all, you've given us the freedom to be in this country. Freedom that we can serve you, we can choose to worship, we can choose to follow you, we can choose to obey the laws of this land and to continue to make it a great nation. And Lord, we just thank you for that opportunity. We thank you for how you provide for us and care for us. And Lord, we ask you to bless these gifts and that you will multiply them to do the work that you call them to do. In your name we pray. Amen. If you're wondering what this Bible closes up here, that was the offering from Vacation Bible School. The offering has been determined that we're going to fill backpacks for foster kids. And so all these clothes are for my kids get taken, like when there's a CHIPS petition and the children are removed from the home. Often it is very quickly, and the children often show up at foster homes without anything. Dorian and Taylor showed up to our house with bare feet. They didn't have any clothes. They had a few diapers. And I had 2 ID bags, and that's all they had, because they were abandoned that day, or a couple days before, and that's all they had with them. And that happens a lot, unfortunately. So this way, children will have something of their own. There's stuffed animals up here, there's toothbrushes, there's clothes. We told the kids, well, each crew would fill 1 backpack. That would have been 4. Well, I think they at least doubled that, if not tripled it. So they did an awesome job of bringing in offerings. A lot of them brought some of their old, really good clothes and toys. And one woman, one of the neighbors up the road, said her little girl didn't want to part with her own, but she was willing to empty her piggy bank and go buy a new stuffed animal. So that was pretty cool. So it was a really good offering this week. So yeah, they did an awesome job. All right. Would you stand with us as we close with a closing song, The Battle and the Republic?
God bless the USA associated with 9/11. And Battle of the Republic dates back to before the Civil War. And actually comes up with civil rights, things like this is a big part of American history, so it's a little bit out here. Mine eyes to see the glory of the coming of the war. He is trampling out the vintage where the grace of wrath restored. He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea. With a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make them holy, let us live and make them free. While God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on.
To the King of the ages, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen.